One of the primary questions that contract maintenance requires is the notice days. So one question can be number of days required for notice required to not auto renew. This question normally comes in case of either evergreen contracts or fixed with auto renewal contracts. For example, if a clause reads, the initial term of this agreement shall be 1 year commencing as of the date hereof. Thereafter, the term of this agreement shall automatically renew for successive 1 year terms unless one party provides written notice to the other party at least 90 days in advance of the end of the then existing term that it does not wish to renew the terms of this agreement. So in this clause, the term is normally 1 year and will keep on continuing automatically after the first 1 year term in a similar manner unless a notice is provided for termination 90 days prior to the end of the existing term. So this is critical because if one party decides to terminate a contract with suppose 60, 70 or 80 days remaining in that current term, that is less than 90 days, it will not be possible to terminate the next renewal and the contract will survive one more year. Now in this next clause, party A may in its sole discretion elect to renew this agreement for successive 1 year periods. Party A must exercise its right 30 days prior to termination of the then current period. Party A may only renew this agreement for 3 additional terms. So from this clause, we cannot actually determine the initial term or the initial end date, but the language denotes fixed with option to renew clause. Here the contract will lapse after the initial term and one of the parties, A in this case, has the option to renew it with a notice for renewal 30 days prior to the end of the existing term. So this is critical for A because if A decides to renew the contract with less than 30 days remaining of the current term, it will not be possible to renew and the contract will eventually lapse. Then there can be another situation in case of fixed contracts or contracts with silent end date, when this question is not applicable at all, like the agreement shall terminate on February 1, 2021. Here, neither there is any auto renewal clause nor is there an option to renew. Hence, any renewal of this contract will not be stipulated under the provisions of the present contract, but will be treated as a new agreement between the parties. Another question that comes up normally is the renewal period. Normally the question here is, what is the time period for which the contract can renew? So if we remember the first clause, here the renewal period is 1 year, that is once. Although this clause doesn't have a cap or a limitation to the number of renewals that can happen. Whenever we limit the number of renewal, then the renewal period changes even though the initial renewal term be 1 year. For example, party A may in its sole discretion elect to renew this agreement for successive 1 year periods. So this is the same clause which we read earlier. So here the renewal term is 1 year or 12 months, but the renewal period is 3 additional terms of 1 year periods. So in total it becomes 3 years, that is 36 months. And then there can be those contracts which doesn't have the renewal option at all, mainly the fixed term contracts or the silent ones, like the one agreement shall terminate on February 1, 2021. Here the renewal period is not applicable as it's not part of the contract. So this was just a small update on the contract term types and the questions that normally comes from the client with regard to this clause. Sincerely hope there is something to take from this video. I will come up next time with another important clause. So if you have any question or feedback about anything, feel free to contact me. Till then, thank you.